Yeah, I mean it'll be nice, probably not to have to bring the ball up, but like I said, that's what I'm best at. That one line changed everything. Caitlin Clark didn't scream. She didn't blame anyone, but with calm precision, she dropped a statement so sharp it shook the room. It wasn't noise, it was power. A superstar making her move. She spoke like someone who knows her value, who won't shrink to fit expectations. There was no press conference, no dramatic scene, just one clear message delivered like a match to dry powder. And suddenly, the Indiana Fever had a decision to make. Clark wasn't just talking about point guard duties. She was making it clear where she draws the line. And that's what makes this moment electric. On the surface, it's a rookie learning the ropes in a tough season, but underneath, this is a full-blown power shift. It's not just about basketball anymore. It's about identity, control, and protecting the voice of a generational talent. Someone the WNBA needs more than they. Realize, this isn't just tension, it's a quiet war. And if you look closely, you'll see this isn't the start of drama. It's the beginning of a battle that could change everything for the franchise. The stakes couldn't be higher. One wrong move, and the Indiana Fever don't just lose a season, they risk losing the very future of their franchise. Reports are spreading fast. What started as quiet whispers has erupted into full-blown controversy. Caitlin Clark, one of the most electrifying, high-Q playmakers in women's basketball history, is allegedly being frozen out by her own teammates. Let that sink in. A generational talent left wide open, waving for the ball, only to be ignored over and over. This isn't fan fiction. It's happening. The clips are viral, dominating sports media headlines and trending across TikTok and YouTube. Clark is calling for the ball while her teammates take wild, forced shots, and it feels intentional, like a silent protest. But this isn't just poor strategy, it's personal. The locker room, broken, tensions, explosive. Inside sources reveal screaming matches at halftime, team meetings boiling over, and players openly challenging Clark's stardom. At the heart of this chaos is resentment, the kind that festers when one player brings instant national fame, brand deals, massive WNBA ratings, and becomes the face of the league. She's not just good, she's redefining the game. And that kind of spotlight doesn't just attract fans, it exposes jealousy. And jealousy turns poisonous when left unchecked. The first public casualty of this silent war, Dana Bonner, the seasoned veteran brought in to anchor the chaos. A WNBA champion, respected leader, and the one meant to guide this explosive young roster into greatness. But after just 9 games, she vanished. No farewell tour, no drama, just gone. The official word, poor fit. But let's be honest, that's PR camouflage for a sinking ship. You don't abandon a contender unless you've seen something deeply broken behind the scenes. And Bonner, she saw everything. The fractured chemistry, the quiet mutiny, the intentional isolation of Caitlin Clark, and she got out before the whole thing exploded. But here's the real twist. The betrayal didn't start with players. It started in the front office, with Fever president Kelly Krakoff. A press conference, meant to show strength, turned into a mask-off moment. Krakoff didn't emphasize building a winning culture. She emphasized building a brand. Something like Apple. She said words that landed like daggers. That's not leadership. That's polished corporate speak, tone deaf to the locker room. In that moment, her message was unmistakable. Caitlin Clark wasn't the franchise. The brand was the logo. The system not. The generational superstar who had already transformed ratings, ticket sales, and WNBA global visibility. You might say, sure, branding isn't betrayal. Fair enough. But it becomes betrayal the moment it's used to shrink a generational star like Caitlin Clark. When it's used to defend a system that doesn't amplify her strengths but buries them, that's when the damage begins. And that's exactly what happened. Krakoff's carefully polished words gave silent approval to everyone wanting to prove the Indiana Fever didn't need Caitlin to win. That the team, the brand, the system could be bigger than one name. But that kind of mindset, it kills dynasties before they're even born. And then there's head coach Stephanie White, the one trusted to shape the future of this team. But what exactly is her vision? Listen closely to how she fawns over the Dallas Mavericks offense during a broadcast, how she praises the ball movement without Luka Doncic on the floor, a player whose game mirrors Clark's in usage and control. Her voice lights up at the sight of system basketball, of everyone touching the ball. That's not just analysis, that's preference, and it's telling. Because Caitlin Clark doesn't fit into that mold. We're not saying White lacks coaching skill, but when it comes to maximizing Clark's rare talent, she's simply the wrong coach at the worst possible time. You don't bring in a coach obsessed with balance, ball movement, and equal touches, then expect her to unleash a generational heliocentric force like Caitlin Clark. That's not a game plan, that's sabotage, whether intentional or not. And the proof, it's on the court. A system built to spread the ball, to avoid building around one star, is a system that will never allow Clark to fully rise. But she sees a hand. That's what makes her quote so powerful. It wasn't just about bringing the ball up the court. It was a coded warning, a bold challenge, a declaration of identity. I know what I'm best at. She wasn't asking, she was reclaiming her voice, calling out a system designed to limit her brilliance. No yelling, no drama, just calm, fearless leadership. That's real power. That's influence. That's the kind of moment that echoes through an entire franchise. But now, the clock is ticking. Caitlin Clark's rookie contract ends in 2027. That gives the Fever just a few years to figure this out, or risk losing the one player holding their national relevance together. Because make no mistake, Clark isn't just a player. She's ratings, revenue, jersey sales, sponsorships, and the heartbeat of the WNBA's future. She's not just an athlete, she's a movement. The sold-out arenas. That's Caitlin Clark. The record-breaking TV ratings, or the surge in jersey sales, merchandise, sponsorships, and nationwide ticket demand. All because of her. If the Fever let her walk, they don't just lose a player, they lose everything. The spotlight, the momentum, the future, and overnight, Indiana fades into the background. Fans aren't rallying behind the franchise anymore, they're rallying behind Clark. Social media is on fire. Comment sections are flooded. Highlight reels dissect every moment she's iced out. The message is loud and clear. Justice for Caitlin. And if the Fever's front office can't hear it, they're either in denial or choosing silence. This isn't about basketball rotations or X's and O's anymore. It's about protecting the only player keeping the franchise relevant on a global stage. If they fail to evolve, they risk losing not just Clark, but an entire generation of fans. So now, what's next? Will Coach Stephanie White adapt her system? Will the front office finally shift its approach, or are we racing toward a dramatic showdown where Clark stops asking for touches and starts demanding change? Because every glance, every snub, every ignored cut is pushing this story toward a boiling point. Because when that breaking point finally hits, it won't be subtle, it'll be seismic. You'll see it on the court, hear it in post-game interviews, and feel it across every major WNBA headline. It won't be Caitlin Clark, the humble rookie, anymore. It'll be Caitlin Clark, the unstoppable force, stepping fully into her power. Because you can only ask someone to shrink for so long before they choose to stand tall. And when that moment arrives, the real question won't be how it all unraveled, it'll be why no one stepped in to stop it. Why no one heard her when she calmly said, "That's what I'm best at." Because she wasn't just talking about dribbling up the court, she was declaring her identity. Her role as the core, the axis, the sun that everything else should orbit around. And this is where the Fever are gambling with everything. This isn't some distant warning, it's here now, clear and loud. Caitlin Clark isn't just great, she's a generational talent, a transformational figure in women's sports. She's not only driving media attention, she's reshaping the future, and instead of embracing that once-in-a-lifetime power, they're resisting it. They're testing her patience, pushing her to conform to a system that ultimately waters down her greatness. It's like buying a Ferrari, and only using it for grocery runs and bumper-to-bumper traffic. Sure, it'll move, but that's not what it was built for. Eventually, that engine will roar back. And here's what should terrify Indiana the most: Caitlin Clark doesn't need the Fever. The Fever desperately need her. She has options. Cities that would roll out red carpets to build an entire franchise around her. Global brands ready to triple their investment just to keep her in the spotlight. Teammates elsewhere who would celebrate her leadership instead of resenting it. In a league where stars like LeBron, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant shape billion-dollar legacies, Clark has that same game-changing power for the WNBA. If the Fever can't see that, they're not just lost, they're incompetent. Fans aren't waiting for polished press releases anymore, they're tuning in with wide-open eyes, treating every game like must-see reality TV. Every ignored pass, every subtle eye roll, every moment Clark waves for the ball and gets ghosted, and they're keeping receipts. Because this generation of fans, they're smarter, louder, and fiercely loyal, not to logos, but to players. Jerseys can change. Franchises can rebrand, but the star is why millions are still watching Indiana Fever basketball, and the divide is getting wider by the day. This isn't just teammates versus Caitlin Clark anymore, it's the public versus the Indiana Fever organization. A storm is forming, and it's impossible to ignore. Commentators are openly questioning coaching strategies. Reporters are analyzing sideline, body language, and playing time down to the second. And fans, they're turning up the volume. Hashtags are trending. Social media mentions are exploding, and demands for accountability are hitting fever pitch. This isn't some drama that dies in the next news cycle, it's a cultural reckoning, a movement that's only growing stronger. And if you think Clark doesn't feel that support pulsing behind her, think again. Every post, every cheer, every chant from the stands is a reminder. She's not fighting alone. She's surrounded by millions who see what's happening. That's not just popularity, that's leverage. The kind of leverage that forces front offices to make real changes, because if the Fever don't course correct now, they're gambling with everything, not just game day wins, but but brand value, financial momentum, and long-term legacy. Caitlin Clark should have been the foundation for a decade of dominance in the WNBA. Instead, the very people meant to elevate her are the ones pushing her to the margins. If Caitlin Clark walks away, she won't just take her talent, she'll take Indiana's last shot at something iconic. And don't be fooled, Clark has thought this through. She's not impulsive, she's strategic, composed, but never passive. That subtle remark she made, it wasn't random, it was a calculated signal, a precise move to gauge who's truly listening. It wasn't just a comment, it was a warning. And if the front office misses it, that quiet signal becomes a booming message, because Clark is fully aware of her value, and she won't lower herself to beg for respect she's already earned. Every sports dynasty starts with one bold choice, a pivotal moment where leadership decides whether to empower its generational star or cling to ego, systems, and outdated playbook. Right now, the Fever stand at that exact point of no return. Either they adapt and center Clark as the face of their future, or they risk letting arrogance write their downfall. One direction leads to a legacy built on greatness. The other two, headlines about the most avoidable mistake in league history. And this has outgrown basketball. It's a bigger message to every young girl watching. Even at your peak, they'll still try to quiet your brilliance. Being exceptional should never be a threat, but in this league, shining too brightly can still get you iced out. That's the toxic message being sent. And Clark, she's not just resisting it, she's fighting it head on, not just for her own legacy, but for every young girl wondering if there's space in this game for someone bold, different, unapologetically great. That's why this moment carries so much weight. Every time Clark is sidelined, it echoes far beyond the court. Every time she steps up, it becomes a battle cry. This isn't just a messy chapter for one franchise, it's a defining test for the WNBA's future. Caitlin Clark isn't just a chance to grow, she's a once-in-a-generation explosion waiting to happen, but only if the league and its teams have the vision and the guts to fully embrace her brilliance. Because let's be clear, if Indiana can't recognize the gem they've got, someone else absolutely will. Another team, another city, someone ready to build around her with purpose and pride. And when that happens, Indiana won't just lose a player, they'll become a cautionary tale about wasted potential, crushed momentum, in a league that couldn't see the future when it was right in front of them. Caitlin Clark may have delivered her message in composed tones, but don't be fooled. Every word landed like a spark on gasoline, calm on the surface, but beneath it, a fire raged sharp, focused, and impossible to ignore. And if the Fever refuse to evolve, if pride, politics, and old-school mindsets keep steering the wheel, then they're not avoiding a storm. They're heading straight into it, but it won't be outside noise that tears them apart. It'll be the internal quake, the rebellion of the very star they underestimated. When Clark finally reaches her breaking point and walks away, the loudest sound won't be the backlash from fans. It'll be the crushing silence left in Gainbridge Fieldhouse. The silence of greatness lost of a dynasty that never got the chance to begin. Because this isn't just about stats or scores. This is about legacy, power, change, and Clark. She's already taken her shot. The next move belongs to Indiana. But what they choose will echo for decades. This isn't a sports segment, it's a real-time revolution. And if the Fever believe they can simply outlast the headlines, they're wrong. Fans are watching. Analysts are documenting. And Caitlin Clark, she's done whispering. That silence, they better believe it, was the warning shot. Because the moment Caitlin Clark broke her silence even subtly, the entire dynamic shifted. And here's the truth. The Indiana Fever still have a golden opportunity to turn this around. But it demands courage, humility, and a bold reset in leadership and vision. This isn't just another draft pick, this is the WNBA's most electrifying superstar, the face of women's basketball. The stakes, massive. If they fail her, if they waste this generational talent, the league won't forgive them. And neither will the millions of fans who've made Clark a viral sensation, a cultural movement. This is a pivotal moment. One road leads to dominance, dynasty, and a legacy cemented in history. The other, failure, regret, and a humiliating collapse that will stain the Fever's name for years. The world is watching, the fan base is waiting, and the next move, it doesn't belong to Clark. It's in the hands of a franchise that must now prove if they're worthy of the spotlight or destined to be remembered as the team that lost it all. Clark's story is no longer just about a rookie trying to find her place, it's about something far bigger. This has become a symbol for every person who's ever been told to dim their light so others can shine. Every missed pass, every awkward possession, every moment she's left waving for the ball is more than just bad basketball, it's a statement. And now, that silence she once held, it's shattered. With just a few calm, confident words, she flipped the script and let everyone know she sees what's happening. More importantly, so do we. Fans aren't just watching, they're keeping receipts. Every clip, every stat, every ignored opportunity is being documented, dissected, and debated. But this isn't just about one player anymore, it's about what kind of league the WNBA wants to be. Do you celebrate generational greatness, or do you try to shrink it to fit your system? Clark doesn't need drama to lead. She leads with precision, with presence, with power. She's not just playing games, she's building a movement. Every time she steps on that court, she's carrying more than a team, she's carrying the hopes of a new generation. And if Indiana can't see that, the damage will go far beyond a few losses. They won't just lose a player, they'll lose the future. The message is clear. Build around her, or watch her build elsewhere. Because Clark's not begging to be respected, she's demanding it with every play, every glance, every silent challenge. The clock is ticking, and the next move, it won't just shape a season, it could define a decade. For Indiana, this isn't just a basketball decision anymore, it's a legacy-defining moment. The spotlight is on. The world is watching. Will they rise or collapse under their own pride?